Well, for those of you that are visiting with us for the first time, either in the sanctuary or by Zoom, when I speak, the rest of y'all know I do some funnies because laughter is medicine for the mind, the body, and the soul. So I got a couple for you today. It says that a little girl was drawing a picture of Jonah inside the belly of a whale. Her teacher asked, "What is that?" And she said, "It's Jonah in the whale's belly." The teacher says, "You know that's not true. That didn't really happen." The little girl kept drawing. She said, "Well, when I get to heaven, I'll ask him." And the teacher said, "Well, what if he didn't make it to heaven?" Still drawing, the little girl said, "Then you ask him." It says, and another one says, a wife asked her husband to go to get her some ice cream. And she said, "Well, write it down." And he said, "I'll remember." She said, "I want vanilla ice cream with chocolate syrup." She said, "Write it down." He said, "I'll remember." "I want whipped cream and I want a cherry on top." She said, "Write it down." He said, "Honey, I'll remember. You want vanilla ice cream with chocolate syrup, whipped cream, and a cherry." So he left, and when he came back and threw a ham sandwich on the counter. She said, "You forgot the mustard. I told you to write it down." My divine appointment. We have established that divine appointments are moments, times, seasons, orchestrated by God, where God aligns circumstances, situation with needs and resources, people and things to fulfill the divine purpose. Scripture illustrates throughout the Bible, but let us just look at a few. In Genesis 25:12 through 14, where Abraham's servant and Rebekah, the servant prayed for guidance in finding a wife for Isaac. And God led him to Rebekah, fulfilling the prayer and showing God's blessings and grace in arranging meetings. Abraham, Isaac, and Rebekah represents the progressive evolution of the soul. And together they symbolize our journey from faith to joyous realizations that God and I are one. So I must keep my divine appointment in order to maintain my spiritual balance and awareness. Abraham means consciousness. Faith is Isaac. Joy, divine fulfillment, a feeling of oneness. Rebekah, the essence of the soul to attract balance, a harmonious state of being, the inner pull of spiritual truth. And another example of a divine appointment in Genesis 50:20. Joseph in Egypt, even though sold in slavery, Joseph means increase in spiritual truth. Every name in the Bible is a consciousness, a representative of parts of all of us and who we are. It says that a divine appointment puts him where he was supposed to be, that God intended for the circumstances for good, highlighting divine appointments can turn adversity into divine purpose. So anything and everything that we've been through, that we may be growing through, if we put our faith in the power of God, the divine appointment shows up in you and in that circumstance. We've all been through some things, but we're still here. We still got work to do. So that means that God has been walking with us. God has been holding our hand. Walk with me, Lord. Talk with me, Lord. Tell me I'm your very own. Our divine appointment. John 4 through 26, when Jesus and the Samaritan woman met at the well going deep into the waters of the unknown, illustrating for believers a divine appointment which led to the spread of the gospel in her town. We know at that time, women were not allowed to do much, but a limited contribution. Even though we are all here because of our divine appointment. We cannot dismiss anybody, but every child that's born is because of a divine appointment the woman kept with God, Creator, Father, during whatever those times brought about through a divine spiritual appointment. God did it. Our divine appointments are when there is a fire within that says, God has a blessing for me. God has a healing for me. God has an answer for me. We have to continuously keep our divine appointment. We get so distracted with the stuff out here, but what about that good stuff in here, in the soul of who we are? And we have the greatest tool we can ever been given is that consciousness, the ability to think, the ability to speak our word, the ability to heal whatever. Some of us think, oh, well, we can't heal that because the doctor said this, or I've had this for a long time. But when you really want to get rid of it, walk with me, Lord. Talk with me, Lord. Hold my hand, Lord, while I'm going through this journey. We all are going to have seasons in our life where things may not look so perfect, but that's the opportunity that we get to strengthen our spiritual muscle. If you ain't been through nothing, you don't have nothing to tell nobody. A testimony, a message is when God has truly stepped in. And we have to say yes. Yes, Lord. So often we say, no, I got it, Lord. I could do this, until we find out we can't. With God, we say all things are possible. But we truly got to believe that with every fiber of our being. Because when you know that you know that you know, nobody have to tell you anything. You go straight to the source so you can get sourced. The master teacher with convincing power spoke, "Those that believe shall have everlasting life." Spiritual power activated by the believer, the one who trusts, the one that has faith in the invisible substance that creates and continues to create through the activation of our thought. Remember, for those of us that had Jerry curls or any type of curls that came from that box kit, what did we do? We went to go get some activator, right? To put on it, to keep them curls shiny and twisted. Well, your word is the activation of the power of God that's within you. Go get your activator. Tells me that our life in the spiritual realm will never skip a beat when we're depending on that invisible power that makes all things visible. We've all had some aches and pains, some surgery, but we got through it. There is a power within that's the healer. Jesus told us that this that I do, you can do, and even greater works. But it truly takes us knowing that there is an invisible power that we can use. Ernest Holmes tells us there's a power for good in the universe, and not just you or just you can use it, we all can use it. But the trick is, the thing is, to use it. To know that it's there. And God does not work for one and not for another. The only reason it looks like other people's prayers are being answered is because they believe in it. You can't speak your word and then turn around and destroy the word all at the same time. It say either you is or is you not my baby. And we belong to God. Why would not God want you healed, whole, perfect, and complete? We can't do his will and his works sick and tired and sick. So why wouldn't God want to help you, heal you, so you can represent it properly? Why wouldn't God want you to have your needs met? It's in God's best interest that we live a full life so that we can tell others about the power of God and what God can do and what God will do. But in order for God to do it, it must do it through you. Let's look at those divine appointments. It is God's will that every individual on the face of the earth should live, experience whole health, joy, and abundant and prosperous life in everything that concerns us. So often we think of abundance and prosperity as just money. But I want to be abundant in my peace. I want to be abundant with God's wisdom within me. So in every area of your life, be abundant and prosperous through it. Things will come. But we have the answer within us. It's not outside of us. God will gather the people and the things needed in order for your need to be met. Let God do it. We ain't been so good at doing it. Let God do it for you by doing it through you. A writer asked us, are we living in alignment with our divinity? Or are we living, behaving like the baby eaglet who fell from the nest into a barnyard full of chickens, and he adopted their earthbound habits? It says birds of a feather flock together. It says, fortunately, the eaglet gradually grew into a new awareness of the true nature of his being, innately planted within. And sometimes we appear to have a lapse in memory that we have a spiritual compass that is eternally leading, guiding, and lifting us, healing whatever concerns us. We see God's other creations being, waiting, expecting for their divine appointment to be rendered. But the greatest of all of God's creation, we tend to get frustrated when aspects of our lives don't go according to our plan and expectation. And then that frustration and anxiety. And when you plugged up and clogged up with all of the fear and the worry and the doubt and the wondering, you're not making room for God to do the work. You got to clean stuff out. We clean out our cabinets, we clean out our refrigerators, I think most of us. Because if you have stuff just clogged and bunched up, you make no room for nothing new. You make no room, you're fearful, and you allow the pain to conquer you. You got to master your spiritual ability to conquer it. Mind over the matter. May we remember that we were called forth to soar. That eaglet knew that it was born to be an eagle. And if the eaglet can turn into an eagle and we're the greatest of God's creation, guess what we can do? Anything we believe we can. Anything we believe we can. We are here, ladies and gentlemen, to fulfill and master this thing called life and conquer every challenge that shows up. If you can make a power wash that conquers all grime and grease on dishes, and we are the representative of God, we were Don Power Wash before Don Power Wash got here in a bottle. Come on. Come on. Our true identity. Everything that seems like our life is less, when actually because we are God in expression, our life is so much more than we allow ourselves to believe. Our Heather mentioned, as well as Naima and Jewel, about that self-sabotage. That when you don't think that God is for you, it says with God for you, what and who can be against you? The things only that we let, that we allow, that we say them, they, those, they got me. No, they don't. You got you. Do something with your power. We got to stop denying ourselves of our spiritual inheritance, our divine birthright, our freedom, our ability to choose the thoughts we think. For we are co-creating with God. We think our thoughts don't matter. To think we are just here on earth to take up space? No. Heaven knows, heaven right here on earth. We have been contributing because we're talking about brain waves out there. Mind always thinking, judging, criticizing, analyzing onto the world that we're experiencing right now. A lot of people say things and they say, well, you know, I didn't mean that. The law don't know nothing about what you meant to say. First you had to think it. Then you took it a step forward and you said it. And a lot of times we take a third step and do it. We have to be mindful of the thoughts that we are thinking. And when those thoughts, negative thoughts, fearful thoughts come in, because they will pass, to see if they got a grabber, they can only sit there if we allow it. So what thoughts are sitting on the seat of your consciousness right now? Are you saying, I wish Reverend Lisa would hurry up, I got things to do? Or about that barbecue you're going to eat tomorrow? Every thought is a thing. Every thought is a brain pattern. So when they come in your consciousness and you know it's not for your highest good, get thee behind me. You don't belong here. You are evicted out of my consciousness. You ain't paying no rent. And replace it then with a more positive thought. And you speak that thought, you speak that word until you start to believe it. And when you practice and you train yourself to stay on a positive lane, on Joy Street, on Happy Avenue, when you train yourself to do that, it becomes your nature, because in truth, that's why we was created anyway. It's to represent the power of God that's within us. We came here to love one another. We're not responsible for people's character, but you're still supposed to love them, because through our stuff, God still loves us. Never stop and never will. So we're supposed to do the same thing with everybody. Just because you don't like cherry Kool-Aid don't mean you got to talk about it. Leave it alone. And do you. Just because people don't fit in the circle that you want to be in, leave them alone. Bless them. And keep it moving. It's easier said than done, especially with some of our people. They do make it challenging. But remember, we said, with God, all things are possible. So that means it's doable. And we have to catch ourselves. And I try to tell you all the time, don't react. Take a breath and then respond. Because you're going to spend a lot of energy wishing you hadn't said that. Wishing you had not reacted to something that's not even your business. So we got to remember, consciously, we are always contributing something with our thoughts, our words, our body language. It's time to clean this up. We've been here long enough dangling our feet. It's time to walk upright like you belong to God. Sons and daughters of the Most High God. There is a divine appointment to keep in order to awaken to the divine assignment, in order to accomplish the mission that appears to be impossible. For we see the divine, omnipresent, everywhere. We see God omnipotent, all power, and omniscient, science of all knowing. That's our God. Or if we don't investigate what we say we know, how will it work for us if we're not working with it. You walk into a dark room. In order to get some light, you got to hit the switch. Now, it used to be you stick a key in the car. Now you can just talk to it and tell it to come to you. But what I'm saying, though, is things will change. But when we work it right, it changes for the greater good. Technology, everything already existed in the very beginning. It's just man using consciousness to get it done. Everything that will come 1,000,000 years from now is already in the mind of God. But who will tap into it and pull it out? We marvel at people for the technology and the things that we could do now. But what about the power that's within you? God didn't give anybody any less or more of him. We all got equal access to God. We just got to figure out the combination. And the combination is up here and in here and in the soul of who you are. That's your combination. You open up your mind, you open up your heart with that unconditional love. See, I don't trust my level of loving because I'm liable to swip the switch. So I need God's love. That's that unconditional. See, ours is conditional. I'll love you and I'll do for you and I'll hang out with you and I'll call you as long as you're doing what I need you to do. The moment we stop, you don't call somebody for 3 years. And do you know that you're doing something to you by holding on to that? Any negativity will have to find a way to express itself. A lot of times that's why we get sick, because we're holding on to stuff. And it has to start eating somewhere. That's why every morning I tell you, speak your word for your day. And God will do what he did with Moses, put that hedge around so nothing can get you. What some people mean for evil, God will turn it into good. But you got to keep your divine appointment. And that's every moment of every day, because God is with us every second of every moment of every hour of every day. So why wouldn't we speak a word to our Creator for our needs, for the healing? And first, the healing has to come in mind. When the mind is healed of negativity and ill will, the body starts responding in a positive way. Positivity is one of our valuable keys. Look for the good in everything. And you're looking with your spiritual eyes, not with your physical eyes. That's why Jesus told us to look beyond appearances. Because some things our physical eye distorts. But the spiritual eye will always see God in it. Just because we can't figure out how it's going to get done, God knows, all wise, all power, everywhere present, so we can't escape it. You can run, but you can't hide. We are surrounded by this universal mind that is so responsive that whatever we think and put out as mental patterns, we set the mold. Like making Jell-O. You can get anything and pour some liquid Jell-O in it, and it will take on the mold, the form. Same with consciousness. We're dealing with substance. It's liquid until our thoughts make it solid. You take water and put it in the freezer, and then you leave it out, and it turns back into liquid. That's what life is, and that's why we got to hold and be conscious of the thoughts that we are holding. God is our healer. God is our supplier. God is our unifier. the essence of showing up where we call on the Father. I promise you, it works. It works if we work it. It's there for the taking. And if you train yourself, at least do 30 days of speaking your word, and you will gradually see the change. That's exactly how it works. And we're not saying begging or beseeching. We're talking about declaring, ordering, and requirements. That's what we're talking about. God knows what is needed and what's required for our greater good, but we keep interfering, then blaming God for not following through. But when we succeed, when we heal, God in us, through us, wins. God will never sabotage itself. It's forever seeking willing participants to express. Creation shall forever be. Mine will determine what it will be. For our inner truth directs what unfolds in every and any given circumstance and situation. Always see the greater good in all of it. Even when the body is aching, even when you're looking at the extreme measures people go to hurt other people, peace be still. Now, if you think that your word won't have an effect, it won't. But if you believe that your word is just as powerful as the words that Jesus spoke, the master teacher spoke, our brother spoke, if you can truly believe that, then put it to the test. Our inner truth directs. For when we live, move, and have our living based on our humanness, we are basing everything on chance and luck. When we realize that we ourselves, yes, you and me, have within us the power to determine our experiences, that we, through image and likeness, can conquer whatever. This is knowing our true identity. See, they had us, a few years ago going and get the real ID? Our real ID is the power of God that's within us. Because in another 5 years, they're going to have you getting something else. But God is always God. God is always for the good. God is always wanting to inspire and lift us up. Because then we're demonstrating our true identity. That image and likeness. Be reminded, loved ones, we choose peace and joy even in the midst of other stuff. It had me thinking about Tina Turner. What we heard about her and what I did was horrific. But he brought with him his experiences. See, we all come with some stuff. Some stuff we don't even know is there. Been there for years, and you wonder why you get mad when somebody says a certain thing. That's why you got to clean yourself out. Need a spiritual enema. But Tina had to keep her divine appointment to come out and be the star God created her to be. Not what I tried to make her. Our divine appointments will circumvent troubles, concerns, illnesses, for we are counseling with a higher presence of who is the substance we work with. God. Choose today whom you shall serve. Your stuff, your emergencies, your illnesses, your inconveniences, if you're going to serve that, it's going to serve you. What are you going to serve? What are you going to choose each day? How are you going to go about this day, no matter what? Because whatever comes, God is greater. Whatever comes, your word has power. Whatever comes, God is right there with you. And so we just need to ask, okay, Lord, what is this about? What is this for? How are you going to get the glory out of this? And then be ready and prepared. to experience something greater than you could ever imagine. That's the kind of God we're working with. Stuff that happens and we don't have words for it, so we call it miracles. But a miracle is commonplace with God. God only knows how to heal, how to lift up, how to unify. So that's nothing for God, but for us, we want to know, how did God do that? How does God do anything? Because of itself, the all power, all knowing. So that needs to be your constant companion. And it has to be recognized. And when you recognize that God is with me always, then you got to unify with it. And when you unify with it, then you know that anything and everything is possible with God. That's a realization right there. And then walk around with an attitude of gratitude. You may not have everything you want at the time, but you got something, so be grateful for that. Because that's another key that unlocks the universal purse and pour us out blessings we don't even have room to receive. And then release. When you speak your word, quit crying over it. Speak it with faith. Because when you plant a seed, do you go out and dig it up every day to see if the seed cracked open? You're trusting that the soil and the seed knows what to do. That's how we get plants, fruits, vegetables, trees, because it knows what to do. And that's not the greatest of God's creation. You are, you are, you are, you are, you are. So we got to walk around like we the greatest thing since sliced bread. Not cocky or conceited, but confident. And when people say things out of order, you look at them, do you know who I am? I belong to God. Our life is all in divine order. When we encounter delays and setbacks, or the world is changing in ways that we find unsettling, our life may feel chaotic, even out of control. Even though I know divine order underlines all things, it doesn't always feel that way. So we have to remind ourselves of spiritual truth, because that will get you out of that funk that you may be feeling. It will come, but you got the remedy. You got spiritual medicine that has no side effects, only great outcomes, only healing of the mind, the body, the soul, and the body of our affairs. So regardless of whatever comes your way, keep your divine appointment. Carve out time every single day to commune with God. And it could just be 5 minutes, but can you imagine just adding up all of those 5 minutes? And in the twinkling of an eye, then you truly know who you are and whose you are. Keep your divine appointment. Peace and blessings.